In this video, we will show you how to replace your front door inside door handle on this Jeep Patriot. This will be mounted to your inside door panel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. A quick note about doing this, you want to make sure you have your window in the fully upright position. Let's start up in the upper corner here. I'm going to be using a plastic trim tool so we can remove our plastic trim panel from the door. Just gently start pulling that away. We can see our locking tabs. Set that aside. Next, we're going to remove our window crank handle. To do this, you're going to have to remove a metal clip that's behind this window crank. To remove that, you can either use a small angled pick or use a specialty tool. Since I have the tool, I'm going to be using that. When we do remove that clip, we want to be extremely careful that it does not go shooting out and get lost. So we're just going to go ahead and hold our hand along each side here. We'll see if we can control this. Press it in, listen for a click. Now we'll start gently pulling this away. Now we'll be extremely careful here. We don't want that clip along the backside to go shooting out, as I mentioned. We can remove this. There's our metal clip right there. Sometimes it'll fall out, other times it'll be in place like this. Let's set that aside. Now let's make our way up from there. Just underneath the inside door handle, you're going to find a small plastic cover. We'll remove that to expose our next mounting bolt. I'm just using a small pocket screwdriver to dislodge that. A quick inspection. Here's where we can see our T20 Torx bolt. There's that. It's nice and long. We'll set that aside. Now we can make our way all the way down here to our grab handle. Inside of the grab handle, you're going to find another plastic trap door. This one's considerably smaller. We just want to get into the small groove here so we can pull this up and out of place. You can use a small screwdriver or even a small pick. Let's try this area on the other side. Okay. That exposes our next T20 Torx screw. That one's considerably shorter than the other. Set that aside. Now we're going to remove this entire plastic panel that comes across here. Using a plastic trim tool, we'll start down along the bottom. There we are. Now we'll start folding this downward. There should be two straps on this. This one over here looks as though it's broken, but it should slide into this area right here. This one's still intact, so we're going to go ahead and slide that out of place. Go ahead and set that panel aside. With that panel out of the way, it exposes a couple 10mm mounting bolts. There's one down here. Now let's move to our next one up here. Now right in this area, there's three 10mm headed mounting bolts holding this in place. Now that we have all three of these mounting screws out of here, we're going to take hold of this apparatus, give it a small wiggle, and start pulling it out and away. You do want to be careful that it does not fall apart on the inboard side. If that happens, there's a large spring inside of here, and it might go shooting out. So just be extremely careful. I'm going to use a small prying device for this, just a trim tool. Take my time. I don't want to cause any damage to this. As I mentioned, you do want to be very careful when you do remove this so the back cover does not come off. Let's set that aside. Next, we're going to make our way down on the door panel where the door speaker would be located. That's going to be behind this area. We're going to remove the plastic trim panel that goes along this area. I'm using a small pocket screwdriver to start separating. Once it has started to separate, I'll continue on with my plastic trim tool. We should be able to make our way around this to separate it. There we are. With that dislodged, you can see all of the locating tabs making their way around. We'll set that aside. Now we're going to remove the door speaker. The door speaker is held in place with 4 mounting screws. There's 1 on each corner. What you're going to find is 2 of the screws are longer than the other 2, so you do want to pay attention to which area each one of them goes into. We'll be using a T25 for the silver looking bolts and a T20 for the black bolts. Let's get these out of here. The next gray bolt is down diagonally. Now we have our 2 larger bolts. Let's go ahead and take hold of the speaker and remove it from the door panel. Keep in mind it does have a wiring harness along the back side that we have to dislodge. To dislodge your electrical wiring harness, you're going to find it has a locking tab. Go ahead and squeeze that in and pull that out of place. A quick inspection for corrosion. Remove the door speaker, quick inspection, and we'll set it aside. Just pull that door speaker wiring harness out of the door panel. Slides right down. Now we have 3 10mm headed mounting bolts. There's going to be 1 down in this area here, 1 over here, and then 1 up along this corner. Now we're making our way along the bottom of the door panel. There's another 10mm headed bolt down here. Now let's make our way all the way up into this area. Now looking up in here, there's going to be a white plastic bracket. You can see that it has 2 locking ears. Those are slidable ears. Essentially, if you were looking right along this area where my index finger is pointing, you can see some threads of a mounting bolt. That makes its way from the inboard side out to here. Let's go ahead and use a T25 to start removing that Torx screw. There's our screw. We'll take hold of this. We should be able to give it a wiggle. I'm going to slide it this way a little bit, pop it out of place. Now we're looking inside behind the door panel. We can see that there's a wiring harness. We're going to have to dislodge it. This wiring harness is only pressed into the door panel, so if you were to take hold of it, you should be able to slide it out and away. There's 1 mounting point there. There's going to be another one right over here. And the next one's inside this area here, right where I have my flashlight. I'm just going to try to push this wiring harness out of place. There we go. Now as we follow the wiring harness this way, leading towards where our door speaker was located, if you were looking up inside of this port here, you can see that there's actually some locking tabs. This is holding the wiring harness in place. For this, we want to go ahead and use some pliers. We're going to try to squeeze on the 2 locking tabs. We'll squeeze them towards the center and press that up and out of place. Okay, there's our wiring harness, and there's our locking tabs that I was squeezing. Now we can take hold of the door panel. We're going to start gently lifting it up and pulling it straight out and away. There we are. get some movement here. We can remove this. Set that aside. If you follow your door handle rod, you're going to find that it has a yellow connecting portion. We're going to separate that. For this, I'm just going to use an angled pick. We'll try to get underneath this ear and see if we can get it to separate. Okay. Should be able to lift that rod up and out of position. Now let's continue on. We're lifting up on the door panel and removing the door lock knob from the door panel itself. We can hang this aside for now. Now we can move along to the next mounting point for our wiring harness. That's just up along this area. You can use a flat screwdriver or angled pick, whatever you've got. Make your way right along this locked edge and separate it. Let's start removing the inside door handle from the door panel next. Now we're looking at the inboard side of the door panel. This is the upper portion of the door panel, and over here is the lower portion. We're going to start removing the inside door handle by removing all 4 of our T20 Torx screws, holding it in place. Let's remove the inside door handle. There it is, friend. Now we can install our brand new inside door handle. For this, we're going to have to take the handle itself and slide it through this port of the door panel. We'll continue on aligning everything else so we can start in all 4 of our mounting screws. I'm just tilting this, slide it through. Line it up, start in the screws. They're all started in, let's snug them up, but keep in mind you are only screwing into plastic. We'll bring the door panel over towards the door, and we can start with our door handle rod. Go ahead and align that with its mounting port on the door handle. Press it down as far as possible and lock it in. Just going to swing this right over the rod. Listen for an audible click. We'll give it a wiggle, confirming it cannot fall off. You don't want this falling off while you're driving down the road. We have our wiring harness. We're going to get this into position. Just bring the foam right inside this area, lock it down. There we are. Let's get this clip down here. Plenty of slack, we should be able to get this in there. Make our way over here. This can press in as well. It's time to start aligning our window regulator. This is going to align with this area of the door panel. Press that in. Now we're going to start bringing this into position. We have to pay attention to our door lock knob, bringing it through the door panel. Okay, we can see it starting to protrude out through there. I like to have the door lock knob in the unlocked position because we're going to have to lift the door panel up enough that it can fit up and over this area. The door panel itself also has several hooks that have to fit into their corresponding ports on the door itself. Now looking in this area, we can see a couple of them. We have one here, one directly above it. There's several others making their way around. Just want to make sure that that window regulator does not fall out of place. We'll try to readjust that as necessary. Okay, nice and high. Line up your hooks, start bringing it down. Double check to make sure you're completely seated. As you can tell, down in this area, the hooks did not make their way into the proper position, so we just have to readjust. I'm going to lift it up, continue pressing in, drive it down, and then double check to make sure I'm properly secured. Okay, this feels good all the way around. Now let's make our way inside the door panel to start securing our wiring harness along its mounting points. We have one here, there's one a little bit further in, and then we'll make our way up and through this port here. Just gently start pulling that wiring harness into place. Now let's get our next one all the way inside this area. Try to get it. There we are. Let's make our way in here. Now we do have one mounting point for this one. It's going to make its way out through this area here. Just try to line it up, press it in. We should be able to see it protrude out through there. Now we're going to make our way inside this area here. We do have a wiring harness that needs to be pressed down and through this area. It's fairly difficult to see, but we can see it pushing down through that inner door panel. Just double check to make sure that's in there. Now we'll continue on with our speaker wiring harness. When you go to push this through the door panel, it's a good idea to do it in an area where there's electrical tape, and you do want to give yourself a good amount of slack here so we can connect our speaker. Just press that right up and in there. Now the next thing we have to do is take our lower bolt for our window regulator. We're going to attempt to align the window regulator with the mounting point down underneath this area here. For that, we can go ahead and reach inside the door speaker port and we can maneuver this around as necessary. Let's go ahead and start bringing that bolt into position. Start bringing this through. Now we just want to try to move the window regulator around until it aligns with the mounting point on the door itself. If you find when you're trying to install the mounting bolts to hold the window regulator to the door panel, things just won't line up. You may have missed one of the inboard tabs. You may have to just go ahead and reach inside there, realign things, and replace them. Okay, this one feels like it's starting to go through. Make sure that's nice and tight. Now let's make our way towards our next lower mounting bolt here. For this one, we're using another one of our large black bolts. If you need to align the window regulator at this point, we would just want to reach in through this upper port here. Let's get this in place. Okay. Make sure that one's nice and tight. Now let's make our way up into this area with our 10mm bolt. This one has the washer. We'll make our way up into this port next. Let's get that in there. Make sure that's nice and snug. All the way down along the bottom corner of the bumper cover, we're going to have a 10mm bolt here, and then one right up here. Let's install our speaker next. Start with that wiring harness. We'll align it, press it in, listen for a click. A light tug confirming that's secure. Now we can get this in place. Continuing on, it's time for our mounting bolts for the speaker. As you remember, we had two larger bolts. Let's start with those. We're going to start one down on the bottom corner here. The next one's going to go up and diagonally from there, all the way up into this top corner. Now we have our smaller screws. Let's get those in place. Snug them up. make our way up here to the next one. Now a T25 for the next two. It's time for the speaker cover. We'll get this aligned into its mounting points there. You can see where it needs to sit. Go ahead and tap it into position. Now we're making our way out towards where the door latch is located. We need to get this bracket in place. Just give that a little tug, press it in, make sure we're hooked in properly. The mounting bolt is going to come through the inboard side, out through here. We should be able to see a portion of the threads. Keep in mind you are only screwing into plastic. We do not want to strip this out. Now let's make our way into this area. We have our window crank rod. Start bringing it over. Press it up against there as far as possible. Start in each one of your 3 mounting bolts, snug them up. Snug them up. Next, it's going to be time for our plastic trim panel here. You should have 2 cables. One should slide in here. As you know, one of ours is broken. Continue on to the next one. It just slides right in there. Continuing on, we're going to have to align all of our alignment tabs with their corresponding ports on the door panel. Just bring this over. Start resting it into position. Once everything feels as though it's aligned, go ahead and tap it in. Next, it's going to be time to install our window crank handle. For this, we want to make sure that we have our locking clip in the inserted position here. So I'm just going to take my screwdriver and we'll press this in. You should be able to see it inside of this port. Now that we have that in place, we're going to make sure that we install our small spacer here. Slide it right on over that. Continuing on, we're going to slide this onto the door panel. Now for me personally, this is really just preference of where you want this to rest when the window is completely shut. Essentially, pretty much anywhere besides up like this makes sense to me. Whatever's best for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and line it up approximately right about here. We'll press it in. Now we can go ahead and turn this, bring the window down, and of course bring our window back up, confirming everything functions here as it should. We have our mounting bolt for inside the grab handle. Start it in, snug it up, protect the area with its cover. Now we get our cover. Making our way up inside the inside door handle. We have our longer mounting screw here. Protect the area. It's time for our corner piece. We have our 2 locking tabs. We'll line those up, press it in. Okay, friend, we finished our installation. The next thing you need to do is just go ahead and test the functionality. Aside from that, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.